Afghanistan-Pakistan war escalates following jet downing? The conflict between Afghanistan and Pakistan has intensified significantly as both nations launch strikes deep into each other's territories. Taliban officials in Afghanistan now claim their defense systems have downed a Pakistani fighter jet in the eastern city of Jalalabad. Reports indicate the pilot was captured alive after landing by parachute. This escalation follows heavy Pakistani airstrikes on Kabul and Kandahar, the base of the Taliban supreme leader, which Pakistan claims killed 133 fighters. The direct attacks on Taliban-controlled cities were launched over allegations of harboring terrorists, prompting retaliatory border offensives from Afghan forces. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump stated he would consider mediating the conflict, though he emphasized his strong respect and ties with Pakistan's current leadership and military. Next news. Uncertainty over Khamenei's fate following Israeli airstrikes. Reports are circulating that Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, may have been killed or severely injured in a massive joint military operation by Israel and the United States. While Israeli media outlets, including Channel 12, suggest there are growing indications of his death, no official confirmation has been provided. The strikes, which President Donald Trump described as a major combat operation, targeted senior leadership compounds in Tehran and other key cities. In addition to the uncertainty surrounding Khamenei, reports indicate that Defense Minister Amir Nasirzadeh and IRGC Commander General Mohammad Pakpour were killed in the early waves of the assault. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi has claimed the leadership remains intact, though Israeli officials maintain that the strikes have caused very significant harm to the regime's structure. As Tehran retaliates with missile strikes across the Middle East, the situation remains highly fluid. Next news. High-ranking Iranian officials killed in joint military operation. In a severe blow to Tehran's leadership, Defense Minister Amir Nasirzadeh and IRGC Commander Mohammad Pakpour are believed to have been killed in Israeli strikes. Nasirzadeh, a former fighter pilot, recently served as Deputy Chief of Staff while Pakpour had led the Guard since 2025. The deaths occurred during Operation Roaring Lion, a joint US-Israeli mission launched to degrade the Iranian regime. Meanwhile, Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi alleged that an Israeli strike on a girls' primary school murdered dozens of children, vowing that these crimes will not go unanswered. In response, Iran has launched retaliatory strikes against Israel and US assets across the Gulf. While explosions rock Tehran, several international leaders are urgently calling for peace to prevent a total regional collapse. Next news. Global travel chaos as Dubai airports suspend operations. Dubai International Airport, the world's busiest gateway, fell eerily silent on Saturday as all flights were suspended indefinitely, leaving thousands of passengers stranded. The closure came in the wake of a sudden wave of Iranian missile attacks across Gulf states, escalating the conflict sparked by US-Israel strikes on Iran earlier that day. Inside DXB and Al Maktoum International Airport, travelers were caught off guard, with luggage piled high and anxious families waiting for news about cancelled or diverted flights. The missile attacks shook Gulf capitals from Abu Dhabi to Riyadh, with residents reporting deafening blasts. UAE air defenses intercepted several projectiles, but debris reportedly killed at least one civilian in Abu Dhabi. Strategic US bases in Qatar and Bahrain were targeted, forcing military personnel into shelters. Regional leaders have condemned the strikes as a blatant and dangerous escalation, while airspace closures remain in place. Next news. West Indies spin trio poses unfamiliar threat to India. The West Indies are set to unleash a deceptive spin attack that remains a mystery to most of the Indian batting lineup. At the forefront is Gudakesh Moti, a unique left-armer who seamlessly alternates between finger spin and wrist spin. Standing 6 feet tall, Moti uses his height to generate bounce and has mastered control over his variations to maintain an impressive economy rate. Having never played in the IPL, he remains a largely unknown entity to India's stars. Complementing Moti is Akhil Hossain, a disciplined left-arm spinner known for his lethal arm ball, and a newly developed knuckleball inspired by Sunil Narine. Hossain's ability to squeeze batsmen on dead tracks provides a perfect tactical foil. If Hossain does not feature, the lanky Roston Chase offers a different challenge with his overspin and bounce. This trio of not-so-little pals threatens to make life harrowing for an Indian side that has historically struggled against unfamiliar spin variations. Next news. European leaders call for calm following US-Israel strikes on Iran. European powers have issued an urgent plea for a return to diplomacy after joint US and Israeli military strikes targeted Iran on Saturday. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer, French President Macron, and German Chancellor Friedrich Merz released a collective statement condemning Iran's regional military aggression while pointedly distancing themselves from the recent strikes. The leaders emphasized that while they remain in close contact with Washington and Jerusalem, they did not participate in the operation. They urged the Iranian leadership to resume negotiations regarding its nuclear program, asserting that a negotiated solution is the only viable path to long-term stability, and that the Iranian people must be allowed to determine their own future. The military action has triggered a wave of emergency security meetings across the continent as leaders scramble to prevent a broader regional conflict. President Macron has called for an emergency UN Security Council meeting, warning that the current escalation is dangerous for everyone. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump's call for the Iranian people to take over their government has heightened concerns among Democratic allies regarding the potential for unilateral actions to breach international law. Despite the internal dilemma, EU Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas maintained that Iran's ballistic and nuclear programs remain a serious threat to global security, even as other nations like Spain and Russia condemned the strikes as unresponsible and unprovoked acts of aggression. Next news, gold prices skyrocket as geopolitical tensions ignite global flight to safety. Gold prices witnessed a sharp vertical rally on Saturday, February 28, 2026, as the fear index surged following direct military confrontations between the US, Israel, and Iran. The sudden spike is a direct response to Operation Epic Fury, a joint US-Israeli strike on Iranian infrastructure, and Tehran's subsequent retaliatory missile launches. With regional airspace closed and maritime security in the Persian Gulf under threat, investors have abandoned riskier assets in a massive flight to safety, driving domestic rates on the MCX and in major Indian cities to record highs. The primary driver for today's hike is a massive geopolitical risk premium. As a conflict involving a major oil-producing region and a global superpower unfolds, gold has reclaimed its status as the ultimate war currency. Market analysts are now increasingly confident that gold has entered a new supercycle, with some projecting a bullish path toward the 6,000 United States dollars per ounce milestone. In India, retail prices in cities like Delhi and Mumbai have jumped by thousands of rupees per 10 grams in a single session, as panic buying from investors looking to secure savings competes with seasonal wedding demand.